Sweet.
Hello, we are back. It's good to be back. You guys want to say hi?
Back to our
Hello there.
regularly scheduled streams.
Okay.
It's good to be here. We're gonna
It
do some
is.
fun stuff today.
It is.
Indeed.
It is good. How was everyone's Turkey Day?
That was
It was so
good.
full of tryptophan. It was great.
Tryptophan.
It was tryptophantastic, if you will.
Ugh.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Ah,
I got to make this cream pie that my grandma made the recipe for. I made it for the first time ever, and it turned out exactly like hers. So I was super happy.
That's always good.
I was really happy. Yeah.
Yeah. I regret that I never learned to make my grandmother's favorite dishes because now she's gone and I'll never get to eat them again. And it makes me really sad. Teach the children well.
I just immediately started hearing Sound of Silence in my head.
Right.
Oh no.
Wow.
Well, we got heavy real quick there. Okay. I just realized, guys, that I do not have my Apple Pencil in all.
Oh no.
In all of our preparation. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's do show and tell, and then I'll find my Apple Pencil. Or have my, let me.
Sounds like a plan.
Let me text Erica. No. All right. Maybe she can run me down hers. Okay. So let's. Where did we leave off?
I
Doing
honestly
the
don't
page-
remember.
Well, last time we were doing the page 1 with, the rising of the vampire lady.
Right.
Okay.
She ain't dead.
Okay. So now we did do the cover before that though, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because we were working on sexy vampires.
We did the layouts. Now I don't think we never showed me actually drawing this, but we're gonna introduce. We found out some cool new tricks that we can do in Procreate. We also want to welcome Mecha Jared, Mecha Jared 1. My apologies in the chat. Jared is Jared Gifford, the writer of Death Watch. Golf claps for Jared. Jared, I want to publicly acknowledge that Jared is the writer on the project. I will make sure that when Artist Elite does a press release or anything like that, that they're also giving you credit. I don't want you to feel like that you're intentionally being snubbed. That's not the goal. We're just we're rough stone rolling. Okay, we're gonna get smooth as we build momentum. So anyway. But yeah, so welcome to the chat. Glad to have you. We're showing off the cover for Death Watch. I do want to point out that the inks are done. Did we already credit Mustafa for inks last time? I can't remember. We'll do it again. Inks by Mustafa Musa, one of my friends with Artist Elite. There's a lot of talented inkers on Artist Elite. Mustafa and I just work on a lot of stuff together. Maybe one of these times we'll have Joe Rubenstein do some inks as well. So shout out to Mustafa and Joe with MB Artist. Wonderful inks by Mustafa, and then colored by Chuck Michael Obach. I forget his. He has a self-deprecating Instagram handle. It's like how not to color or something like that. Anyway, it's not true. He's wonderful. He's done 2 covers for me in sort of a pinch, and I hate doing that. I hate coming to colorist saying, "Hey, I need this and I need it tomorrow." But shout out to him. He's a good friend, a consummate professional, and always does a fantastic job. And then I also want to do a shout out to my friend Brandon Bevan, who did the Death Watch logo. Brandon is one of the most premier logo artists in the country. You see his logo. Anybody that plays the PlayStation, from the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 5, has seen his logo work. So anyway, he did. We were lucky. I was lucky enough to be his friend in college and be his co-worker at Origin Studios. And he did our logo for Death Watch. Anyway, comics is always a team effort. It's never a one man show, and all the art comes together, and we got a beautiful product. Really happy with the way it's turning out. So anyway, that's our colored cover. Let's just swipe. Here's the cover without the logo. I added a little bit of an overlay when I added the logo, just to sort of tie all the elements in. Can you guys see it? Just a little little bit of orange. So
it looks really nice.
We're gonna be rebranding everything. We're rebranding our Patreon, rebranding our social medias. So this is the first cover logo for our Patreon. So we're gonna start with Patreon first, and we're gonna work through the other socials. So lots of rebranding is going to be happening. I'm going to be working on new convention gear, new banners, everything. So hopefully we'll be ready to roll sometime in the new year with all new artwork everywhere. So that's exciting, and that's happening. All right. Okay. Now, if you are following Artist Elite, they basically did a release of these panels right here. Actually, let me double tap this, and we'll bring it into Procreate. You might have seen these panels on Instagram and Twitter for Artist Elite. They showed the sneak peek. Here are the finished panels for the rest of the page. Ta-da! We have vampire or newly arisen vampire. Not sparkling. We want to point that out. These are lighting effects happening behind the vampire. So Stephanie Meyer, don't sue us. and then this is just a little bit more storytelling that you weren't able to see. Now, if you were watching the podcast, you saw this happening. You saw this happening last time with the thumbs, and we have a treat. We've made a time-lapse video, and we can actually show you, how all this plays out, and we'll do that next. But I just wanted to show the finished product first. So anyway, last time you got to see the thumbs, now you're seeing the finished product, and I think it's looking good. Nothing like complimenting yourself on a live stream, but. Anywho, what do you guys think? Yay, nay?
Big yay. I think it looks awesome. And
Very
about
yay.
the whole complimenting yourself thing, I think it's important to admit and recognize when you do something really good. So
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of self-hype.
Well, when you're happy with it, you're happy with it. I'm happy with it. And I think that's what's important. I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the quality. I usually don't go this dark. When I do comics, I'm very much a line person and not a value person. But this is playing out pretty well. So I'm going to read. Let's see, what did Jared said something in the chat. So I'm just going to take a second. It said, by the way, I tried an experiment with ham and I found out when a vampire bites, they stick the things into an exposed vein and then suck it. Okay, like a really gross hickey. That was my theory. But good. So we're gonna stick to that, Jared. That is officially canon. All right. Vampire do not have hollow teeth. They simply puncture the vein. And we have let's see. We also have Can you guys read this? I'm exposing my old man self bifocals. Can you guys see? You see my head doing this? That's my bifocals kicking in.
Oh my gosh.
Ray or Perry, can you? Let's see. Who do we got?
Yeah,
on?
we can.
Quittajaw. All right, I'm going to turn that over to you.
We've got Keta.
Quittajaw.
She says yay.
Okay.
And we've got Johnny Monstar saying, looks badass, bro. I would like to do an alternate cover for this.
Okay. I think we could probably swing that, Johnny. So get drawn. Let's see. It's I know.
You have to make.
I know. I'm reading Jared's comment. Okay, now I should say Mecha Jared, right? We always stick with the avatar names. You guys
Unless
Teach
Yeah,
them-
unless explicitly told otherwise by
Okay.
the person that it's okay.
Okay, so we'll stick with Johnny Monstar and Mecha Jared. All right. Okay. Anywho, enough of that. Let's go back to our gallery real quick. Okay, this is the actual Procreate file right here. That's the Procreate file. So you can tell the difference between the cleaned up PSD. I have the background turned off. I've added the gutters. I've gone full bleed with the black outline. So this is basically ready for print. I also wanted to point this out. Sorry, I have to do this. The Hardened Comics logo, yeah! Also designed by my buddy, Brandon Bevan. Thank you, Brandon.
It looks so good.
The brand, get the hype.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because look, it's the C and the H in the negative space, and then it also makes the exclamation point. I love Brandon.
Yeah,
It's very well thought
it's
out.
great.
It's a great, yeah. I just am thankful to have talented friends. So, I think we showed this, but we'll show it again. Here's this is Mustafa's inks, I believe.
That
These
is
are
so
Mustafa's
insane.
inks. And then, did we show this far on the concepts? I can't remember. Anyway, concepts for night creatures for Death Watch, and then wait, is this the? Let's get out of the gallery mode. Where's our movie?
Kida asks, what size /DPS do you usually use for comics?
I can answer that right now. Okay, so a comic blank, if you're doing it digitally right here, 4,125 pixels by 6,263 pixels. Okay.
Okay, wait. Let me screenshot that.
Now, let me.
Send me that screenshot later, Ray.
That's true. That's true.
So
You're fair.
Let me tell you what the exact dimensions. I'm gonna pop open Photoshop real quick. Oh, this is gonna be scary. I don't know what
You could always go to a BRB screen if you're worried.
Yeah, here, let's do that. Let's see. Be right back. Okay, hold on. Okay, here. Oh! Okay, here's Photoshop. So, for the print resolution, here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
6.875 by 10.438 at 600 points per inch is print. Okay. So that is the official. Can you guys see that? Hopefully you can see that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, you
highlighted.
can.
Okay. All right. Anyway, yeah. So, and you should always check if you're working for a publisher. So those are DC settings. The publisher will usually send you a PDF. I believe Marvel and DC are identical. Probably because the same people work there. People don't realize that. Everyone's like, "Oh, Marvel's better, DC's better." It's the same people, folks. It's all a lie. Just like your politics, it's all a lie.
Everything's a lie.
It's all
Things real.
political theater. These people eat lunch together and are friends. Okay. All right. Anyway, so yeah, that's the print setting. Good to know both, but I think it varies slightly for like Dark Horse. Might vary slightly for Boom. So just if you're working for someone, ask them for their PDF guide. They'll usually have the print. They'll send you a PDF with all their print settings. It gets really important for colorists, not so much for inkers and pencilers. Anywho, okay, so that's that. Let's jump back. Let's get our screen back up here for Procreate. I'm gonna go ahead and kill Photoshop because I think Photoshop bugs out just a little.
Yeah, it tends to do that.
So I just killed Photoshop. It's dead. I killed it. Alright, there's that. Okay, let me get out of here. And we have a treat. So we didn't really get to go into this last time, but we have brought in the time-lapse video into Procreate, so you can actually see where we left off. So you got to see the thumbnails. This is my process for. Basically, I have thumbnails and then I have finishes. So this is all part of the finishing process, but I'm just sort of sketching things. No, actually, this is still the thumbnails. Okay, so thumbnailing. You guys got to watch all of this. All right, and then we decided to focus on the family. All of this is figuring out pacing, figuring out the lighting. Okay, so right here, at this point, this is probably where we left off in the last stream. Thumbnails have now been put on their own layer, opacity knocked down, and then this is where we start drawing. Actually, I think we got. We
got to a little bit of rendering with
Right.
our vampire lady.
Yeah.
I think we got to about here.
Right. This is where, and I had it flipped. We were flipped. Flipping your canvas is very common. It helps you spot errors. But we were talking about the mechanics of the jaw and how this wasn't accurate. But it looked good for, effect purposes. So I think we got up to right about here where we cut off. And then I'm just going to point a few things out. So I just keep rendering on it. These are all small little changes. Okay. And then right here, I basically decide I'm not happy with the hand. If you look at the thumb, look at how big the thumb is. And look how anemic the fingers are. So I shot reference in my own hand and then came in and basically fixed it. More realistic angle, better shadow, better lighting. Artists really don't have an excuse when it comes to not drawing good hands and feet, because everybody has hands and feet. So take a picture of your hands and feet and use them as reference. Okay.
Fair enough.
Right, yeah. And then we are coming in. So none of that. We didn't see any of this. Just sort of inking and drawing at the same time, getting everything finished. I love having these dark backgrounds because I can just really sort of focus on the shape and composition. All right, so that's done. Now we're coming up here. Okay. That's usually when I scream. When I do the ah! Because that's a fill that... Anyway, alright. Sorry. Now, I'm drawing the person... This is really important. This is... If you ever wondered why people in comics always wore skin-tight uniforms, because it's basically easiest for the artist to basically draw the anatomy underneath. So I'm drawing the anatomy of the form underneath, and then I add the clothing on top. Originally, I was going to sort of do like the cloth is falling away. I still have the cloth falling away, but I made it more like a shroud. There we go. So I'm making design decisions and finishing the inks at the same time. Traditionally, I would just pencil this, and then someone else would ink it, but we're keeping this all digital. So, all right. This is all just detail. I did Google reference. This is the lighting effects. I just felt like if I didn't have the lighting effects in there, it just looked a little boring. And I thought it sort of helped make it more of a visual focal point to put that in. And I really like the way they turned out. So, that's that panel done. And just another thing I want to point out, just an indication of the bricks. One of the things students do is they tend to render everything. You got to know what to render and what not to render. So I want to point out that I just rendered enough of the bricks to give an impression, and then I let it just sort of fade away. It's an extremely time-saving technique, and everyone should take note of that. If you're new to comics, don't render every brick. You don't have time. Remember, you're getting paid by the page, not by the hour, and you shouldn't be doing that either. So you're just rendering what needs to be rendered. Now, I struggled with this face a lot, the adult face. I think the kid's face I nailed.
The kid's face looks great.
Yeah, so I just, boom. It's like, boom, kid's face done. But this adult face, not happy with it. And then I think eventually, like, when all's said and done, I basically redraw the whole thing. Same with the hand. I drew the hand too long. Did the same thing. Took a picture. made sure it was perfect, and then came in, and now it's done. Is someone's Hot Pockets done?
My
That's the
chicken
weirdest
nuggets
thing.
are done.
I called Ray.
I was just thinking about a microwave. That was weird.
All right, let's see. Let's go back to our chat real quick. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Mecha Jared. I would imagine that the big publishers do the same thing. I'm guessing that you start with basic shapes. Yeah. Basic shapes, and then you go for form. And then details. Let's see. Unless you've had, I must have said something and missed that. Sorry, Jared. Man, what if you only have the one?
I think that's referring to like hands and feet, like to use that as your own reference. Like, what if you're without limbs?
You flip it. So like,
there's always a way.
Because you're taking. Well, I guess if you only have one hand, it'd be harder to. Well, you could set a timer. All right, snack break. Anywho. All right. I hope that answers all the questions. Let's see. Yeah, we do. We have to have. Yes, I'm drinking my unofficially sponsored drink. This time mixed with English tea and Rockstar Recovery. So, cheers to our unofficial sponsors. Hope they're real.
To the stream, I'm immediately going to a coffee house and getting caffeine.
I know, right? Because artists run on caffeine. Okay. So last panel here. This is one where I sort of cheat the most. Shame on me for not being more dimensional with 1 point perspective on this tomb, but I had limited real estate, and anyway, I think it works. Okay, it didn't bug me enough to warrant a redraw, in my opinion. So that's it. At this point, it's done. That's this one right here. Is that file? You can still see a little bit of the underdrawing underneath. And then this is what it looks like, nice and cleaned up in Photoshop with the gutters and the borders added. Now remember, one of the reasons why we're choosing to do the long, tall panels is because we plan on going to Webtoons with this. And once we go to Webtoons, everything's going to be that scrolling format. Okay, so the goal is not to have any long shots, but to have tall shots in this book, which is going to be hard. So we're doing a little bit of reinventing because we hope to publish on both mediums. So, anyway, that's it. That's you're caught up on where we were from last time. You got to see the process. And today we are going back to concept silhouettes because we want to nail down the look. Everything that we're doing right now is sort of a prelude. We still haven't shown any of our main characters, any of our main players. So we're going to be drawing Reiner. We're going to be doing some concept art for Reiner and for Count Darius. Let's see. What would you estimate the time for inking? Oh, that's a great question. If you go into... Let's go into here. If you go into... I believe... Is it preferences? Maybe video. Hold on. Help, maybe. One of these, there's a way to look at how long you worked on this. Somewhere. There's a way to find out how long you've worked on it. Restore purchases, advanced.
I think it's under. Let me see. I think it's under Canvas, and if you go to Canvas information.
There we go. Date created. Dimensions, layers.
You go to stats.
Statistics.
Yeah.
12 hours and 6 minutes. Now, I do. Okay, so you should probably count the strokes. I just want to throw this. Oh, look, Johnny knew. Johnny's like canvas. Thank you, Johnny. So track time 12 hours 6 minutes. I want to throw this caveat out there though. I think that tracks it like even if it's open. So like if you have it open and you get up and you go to the bathroom or you get up and you eat dinner, it's still tracking it. So, anyway, I'm just throwing that. Hello, Can Rugger. Welcome. Thank you. Anyway, so no longer than 12 hours and 6 minutes. But like I said, you want to go for the minimal amount of strokes. That's probably a better way of tracking like how hard you actually work on it. 10,000 is a pretty good number, so I'm happy with that. All right, that's done. So let's go to our gallery and let's actually start drawing for this week. Okay, so one of the things I want to talk about today. Now, did we do any of the concept work for the night creatures on here, or did we do the silhouettes, or did we do that in class and not on the podcast?
We did some of the concepts, not the silhouettes, but some of the detailing.
Some of the detailing. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the concepts or the silhouettes, and some that might be an unfamiliar term to some people. Let me get the right brush for the job here. Opaque brush. Okay, let's see. Yeah, okay, so this is the brush I want to use just for silhouettes. So I want to explain what a silhouette is. I mean, a silhouette is basically like an outline of a person. Ah! Sorry. Okay, and then if you fill it in, then you're basically just seeing the contours and nothing else. But one of the things when it comes to design, if you want to be a good designer, one of the things that actually helps is if you choose an interesting angle for your silhouette. So for example, we can say that this is a silhouette of someone praying, okay? But it's someone praying, like if we're looking at the silhouette, this would be someone praying from the front. But if we turn, and I'm stealing this from Will Eisner's Comics and Sequential Art. He talks about the same thing. If we turn, wow, that is horrible. That is horrible, okay? Which is why you should buy Will Eisner's Sequential Art and look it up yourself. Anyway, basic silhouette. Now this is someone praying from the profile. So if this is someone praying straight on, this is praying by the profile. So what would be a better composition if it came to you putting this in the panel of a comic or you putting this in a narrative illustration? This is going to read better, okay? The profile shot is going to read better because we can tell by the pose what the person's doing, okay?
If you were intentionally trying to hide things in the background, would you choose less obvious silhouettes?
You know, I think this would probably apply mostly to your focal points. You know, things that you want to draw attention to. So yeah, I mean, if you're just sort of Easter egging things and, you know, adding details, I don't think this really applies. But when it comes to, like, with comics, you really want to cut to the quick, especially from panel to panel. And ideally, you don't want to have too many things happening in that panel. You want, you know, it's like cinematography, really. You want to focus on, you know, what is telling the story, and that should only be a few elements. So I would say that this applies mostly to whatever should be the focal point on your page. Now, when it comes to concept artwork, though, you want the concept artwork to be engaging. Now, for what we're doing, it really doesn't matter, right? I mean, for this, what matters is I just get an idea of how the characters are going to look, so I can have my own internal style guide for the book. But since I'm also, you know, co-creating this with Jared, and it's just us, my process doesn't really matter. Only my final outcome matters. But for educational purposes, if you're working for a studio, if you're working for a game developer, if you're working for a publisher, then this stuff does matter. So for anyone who's trying to learn this process, you need to start thinking about silhouettes because presentation matters in absolutely everything. So anyway, so you want to think, you basically want to create interesting poses with your silhouettes. Long story short, okay? So you want to think about how the pose looks, just by the energy of the pose itself and the story that's being told, by the shape of the character, by the shape of the outline. And then you can continue to add, once you have the outline done, then you can continue to add details inside the shape. But you want to start with the shape first. So, does that make sense? Am I making any sense, you guys?
You're making sense.
You are.
Good. Okay. That's why you're here, to make sure that I don't get off into the weeds. All right, so let's start. Now, I guess we need to decide who we're going to do first. Are we going to do Count Darius, or are we going to do Reiner? So Reiner is
You said Count and...
So, Count Darius is basically our Dracula, okay?
Yes.
And then Reiner is our Van Helsing, okay? He's our vampire hunter. So let's go ahead and let's start with Reiner. He's our protagonist. And I'm just doing some standard hero pose stuff, okay? So I'm just thinking about like his anatomy, his body type, pretty standard stuff. Okay, I haven't even started any of the accessories, but the goal for this is to create an interesting shape, an interesting silhouette that we can basically that can be universal for the life of the comic book or for the life of this design until we change it. Okay, until we find something that works better. So let's just do a little bit of anatomy. We want him to be strong, athletic. Some of our influences are Peter Cushing from the Hammer horror films, from Mecha Jared, help me out. Belmont, thank you. Look, Jared, look. Jared's reading my mind. If you guys are following along in the chat, Jared's reading my mind. He's already Belmont.
I'm in Belmont.
Yeah, for Castlevania, right? Yeah. So those are our basic influences. So tall, athletic, and you guys. Now, do you guys know who Peter Cushing is?
I don't.
I don't think so.
So, have you seen Star Wars Grand Moff Tarkin?
Yes.
Okay, that is Peter.
No.
That is Peter Cushing. What? Wait, what? What? Perry, did you say no?
I don't war
Perry's
with the
not much
stars.
of a
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Perry's not much of a Star Wars person.
Okay. Anyway. Oh, that's so... That was... Anyway. Yeah, also... Okay.
I can feel the disappointment through the webcam.
Yeah. It's a shock to my system that there's people that haven't seen the original Star Wars. I don't care if you haven't seen the prequels or the postquels. But the original...
Wait, did you see like the original Star Wars movies that were made?
Yeah.
Okay, those I have seen. I'm
Okay.
not okay.
So he's basically the Vader's boss in the first Star Wars film. The original first Star Wars film. He's the polite British dude who blows up Alderaan.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's always that one.
Oh, Bernard Chang is on. Nice. Hey, Bernard. Everyone who doesn't know Bernard's a good friend. Let's see. Bernard's credits include Children of the Atom, X-Men, and currently Bernard is on the month. Bernard, I'm messing this up. Monkey Prince for DC Comics. Anyway, make sure you follow Bernard. Fantastic artist. Let's see. Chad's mic seems to be a lot quieter. Oh, man, see? Yeah, it is. I don't know how to... We know
I'm trying to
that's
figure
a
out mic
problem.
issues for...
Yeah, we got to figure that out. Right now we're a little broke. Between emergency room visits, not for me, but family members. And then let's talk about my son's graduating from the Navy, so I bought him a graduation present. And then it's Joy and I's 25th anniversary in 11 days. So right now I am broke. Not to mention Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas is eating into my money at the moment.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot of talking, not a lot of drawing. So body type. Now, when it comes to variations, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to pop a new layer on because I envision Reiner basically having, and I've given away a little bit of this with the cover, but I basically envision this pilgrim. I call it a pilgrim hat. I don't know if that's the official name.
It's a hat.
It's a hat.
It actually reminds me more of like one of those priest hats from feudal Japan. Have you seen those?
No. Oh, yeah.
Let me find a picture. I'll send one to you.
Yeah. Let's see. Now, and then I imagine his clothes have these sort of they used to have if you think about the time period, they'd have really big fancy cuffs, and then I imagine this is not a cape, but more of like an official rain coat. So now if I'm sketching these elements out, but now let's start blocking them in. Let's start filling in the gaps, and let's see how this reads. Wow. Chad. You know, let's grab another. Let's grab another Chad. There we go. You can also do this with the selection
Jared
tool.
says, oh.
Go ahead, sorry, Perry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Mecha Jared 1 says, look up a picture of Solomon Kane.
Yeah. And well, you know, it's interesting. I did the cover without looking that up. So it's interesting that all of these references sort of play together, how they inspire each other and feed off each other. All right, so I'm just making sure all my holes are closed. Yep. Daggone it. Maybe this is why people do it with the selection tool. It's a little bitty. Oh, look, there's a gap there. Let's try again. Nope. If you're working in Photoshop, you can do this with paths. You can do it with the selection tool. The selection tools in Procreate are not as advanced. Look at all these holes. All right, 5th time's the charm. Ah! I don't see where there's a gap. Oh, look. Nope. I don't know where that's happening.
It's like hide and seek, but
It is.
it's the hand.
Is it the hand?
Okay.
Yeah, maybe this is an exercise better done in Photoshop with either the path tool or the selection tool. Oh, look. Ta-da. Hey! Okay. 15th time's the charm. So let's just clean this up just a little bit. Are we on different layers? We are. That would have been another part of the problem. Just clean up the silhouette just a little bit. We want the silhouette to stand on its own. Put this up. Okay, there we go. Do you guys want to keep reading that chat? Make sure I'm not missing anything. Any questions from?
Keta says we win these.
What does that mean?
Oh, basically just like a woo.
Oh, okay. So one of the other things that sort of helps. We talked about the characteristics. Jared listed a few: athletic, smart, but also obviously a fighter of evil. So these are all things that we really need to make sure that our design encompasses. Now, the triangles add a little bit of a threat. Just the shape. Let's talk a little bit about the shape psychology. The shape psychology of the trench coat and the hat.
Shape language.
Shape language. Really, really tone athletic. Let me look at this. Boy, this foot looks really off. Let me just shade that, and then let's go ahead and add volume back in there.
So in the chat, JD Smith, digital artist, says Crypto Comics brought me here.
Oh, cool. Good. And we hope to, like I said, we're still reading, we're still ironing out our contracts with Artist Elite. This project will be happening no matter what. And everything, like I said, it's sort of just like a formality. This will definitely be happening no matter what. But I don't want it to make it sound like there's an issue. It's just this is when you're reading contracts before you go to publication, it's standard operating procedure. So, but this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen regardless. But we are definitely doing it for Artist Elite. So let's take a look. There's our silhouette. What do you guys think? Pointy guy gets other pointy men. Let's see. Other pointy men. Anywho, it's okay. It's not really that engaging. So let's see what else we can do with it.
It's a little stiff.
Yeah, right.
Not like someone who could hop over a box to run from scary vampire people.
Yeah. So let's just keep playing with it. Let's get back at our trusty pen. You know what? And I'm just gonna. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this layer. I'm just gonna take this. What? All right, there we go. And let's just keep working on the. Rather than. Let's work on some exciting poses, maybe.
Jared suggests maybe put him in an action pose.
Yeah. For the purposes of presentation, that always helps.
And some personality. Do you know any of his personality traits, or are you allowed to share any of his personality traits, or is it not quite ready for that?
I'll let Jared answer that. I mean, I basically, think of like a puritanical Sherlock Holmes. I mean, when one of the things I always do is I sort of think of actors, think of people that I already see in TV shows and movies. I basically think of Sherlock from Benedict Cumberbatch's
Oh, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah. That's basically what I'm thinking. Jared, what do you think?
He says he's a person who has sacrificed his own personal happiness in order to save others.
Yeah. So idealistic, zealot.
Nice.
Okay. That's sort of a fun pose. We've got some action poses. Let's see. Maybe some weapons.
Johnny Monstar also in the chat said, the best thing about silhouettes is you can start out with stiff to get a feel for the character quickly and then start trying other silhouettes instead of spending hours and details on one single drawing that may not even be what you want.
Yeah. So let's have him doing other things too, like maybe we can have him reading the book. But you want to think about, one of the reasons why silhouettes are important is you want to see if you can get it to read just with the shape. It's a good practice to get into, especially when you're doing thumbnails and layouts on comics. Because one of the biggest problems with comics, now I did this, and then I think this pose is basically this pose flipped. So, it's a fun idea. It's okay to explore these ideas, but I think if I was going to use this for my concept art, basically, we've already done it. So let's keep some more action poses coming. And then the other thing we can do is just play with accessories too. I'm gonna turn.
So Jared said, it's sad, but he's ultimately alone in this world.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the burden of all intelligent people, right? I mean, really.
I guess I would have a question for Jared then, because he is alone, does he have any kind of I guess hobbies outside of killing vampires and stuff? Because if you spend all your time alone, I would think if he has any kind of downtime, what kind of stuff would he do? What are his interests? Again, this is if any of this is allowed to be shared.
So he's a very avid reader. I would also think he's sort of like a gentleman scientist in the vein of, have you ever seen Master and Commander?
Oh.
The movie Master and Commander, there's the doctor in that who, the explorer scientist, Renaissance man. Because you gotta figure out what makes these unholy vampires tick, right? These abominations of nature. So,
does he have a personal stake in this situation? I mean, that's probably spoilers. Never mind.
I'll defer to Jared.
Chat, I'm about to spam our Discord chat with hats.
Do it.
Forgive me. For some reason, this is the type of hat that I was thinking of. Not necessarily the first one, but the first one is what it actually looked like, and then the rest are going to be webtoon examples that I've seen of the same, similar kind of hat.
Oh yeah, look at that hat.
Right? It's something about the transparency makes it really cool. I don't know what the official hat is called, but...
I'm going to check out Discord real quick.
It almost seems like a blend between the kind of pilgrim hat and the hat that you sent for the Japanese
I typically
monks.
In webtoons and stuff, when I see this hat culturally, it's usually in a spiritual sort of context, not necessarily I am praying with this hat on, but when you are dealing with spirits or temples or that sort of afterlife type stuff, often men will wear this hat.
Okay, so someone who would be, I guess, in that field or something, dealing with these kind of things, that'd be their attire.
Yeah, which is why I keep thinking about it. I always see the silhouette for now, so I keep seeing the silhouette, and I'm like, yes, hat.
It's me. I just in general like the idea of someone who, not only do they hunt vampires, but they study them, anatomically.
Yeah.
Something about, how did this happen? Why did this happen?
Well,
how can it stop from spreading? I don't know. It's fascinating.
I listened to a lot of podcasts. So when you're an artist, one of the things that happens is you're always sitting in front of your drawings for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on end. And so you're constantly sort of consuming audiobooks, movies. You know, you're rewatching movies that you've seen a million times.
Right.
You're listening to the same songs that you've listened to a million times.
Yeah, consuming media.
Right. And one of the things I've started doing is listening to podcasts. And you got to be careful about the podcasts you listen to. So we talked a little bit about mental focus in class, right? We talked about you know, art. We called it artful meditation. You got to be careful what you put in your brain, because it will affect your ability to produce. And basically, if you're listening to things that get you enraged, if you're listening to things that sort of get your blood pumping, that might be useful if you're trying to fight fatigue. Like, I know that, like, when I'm pulling all-nighters, I almost have to be angry to pull off the all-nighter. So, yeah, Jared, you can
get like your blood pumping.
Yeah, like I'll turn on heavy metal music. I'll watch scary movies. I'll listen to and I call this murder show. If you're, wow, I really don't like that foot for some reason. Maybe just too far out. That reminds me of Mike Manola. That pose, for whatever reason. I'm gonna just trim down the head size. All right, so let's just take a look. Let's pick one of these action poses. Which one do we think is the most engaging? I'm a firm believer in the more you go, the better it gets. So I'm sort of a fan
I
of
kind of like that
one.
last one.
Yeah.
I had an idea.
Let's hear it.
And so this guy's fighting vampires, right? I was trying to sit here and think, what would he fight the vampires with? And maybe you guys already know. Maybe it's like guns or something. Maybe he's a gunslinger. But I was thinking, like, you'd probably want some sort of a weapon to keep them at bay.
Yeah.
So he could always have some kind of a staff or something.
Well, he has
a weapon.
He has weapons.
Okay.
He has weapons out the wazoo. And yeah. Well, so Johnny, we're getting to that. I'm literally picking the person. I'm dealing with the person, and then it's a matter of coming in, adding the accessories. And then once we add the accessories. So yeah, so I'm just focused on pose right now. I'm liking this last pose down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to, I like keeping all my stuff for presentation. I'm just going to go ahead real quick. I'm going to get rid of some of these little personal doodles, just clean them up, clear. I'm going to take all of these. I'm going to take this one and size it down. Just do a little bit of rearranging. When you're an artist, you always want to think about design. You always want to think about presentation. It's all important. I tell my students all the time, you never know when the client is going to want an update. So you always have to be working in a state where if the client or your art director or, you know, whoever you're working for comes over to you, and asks to see where you're at, that you can drop whatever you're doing and show off whatever stage you're working. And that happens all the time.
Right.
Especially when I worked in advertisement at Origin Studios with Brandon. You never know when all of a sudden Rich would come over and just be like, hey, the client wants to see us now, you know, hey, I need, you know, boom, boom, boom. And we had seconds just to, you know, basically present something. So I'm just taking those silhouettes, I'm putting them all up there just for presentation purposes. And now I'm going to take this other one that we like, and let's grab it. Let's see, select. And I am going to do a couple of things here. I'm going to copy it. Copy. They used to have a
Jared actually. Oh.
A copy and paste option where you would, but maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and keep pasting it in. Daggone it. What did Jared say?
So he actually
Jared
commented-
said
Okay.
that he's got a whip, a blessed dagger, holy water, and a cross.
Yeah.
JD Smith, Digit Artist, said a staff with a cross at the top could be cool.
You know, that's
Johnny Monster complimented the weapon kit.
one of the reasons why swords were shaped the way they were in Europe was because they were basic. You know, the icon.
They look like a cross.
Right.
Yeah.
The icon of the cross. So he definitely has a sword. And then I would also imagine that he has a pistol, but you got to remember in the time frame that this comic is taking place, pistols sort of sucked. They really sort of sucked. They were not the, you know, it's not like he has a 45. Okay.
I guess what I was wondering was an association with maybe church bells. I'm not sure if the vampires in this world have like heightened senses or anything like that, but and this is just an idea, of course, if he had like a staff with a church bell on it or some kind of bell on him, he could use it to maybe temporarily overwhelm their senses. Or I was just trying to think of like things with holy iconography and connections that could be used as weapons.
Yeah, that's a good point. I from a warrior point of view, you can't sneak up on someone with a bell, you know, with a bell.
Yeah, if you can't sneak up on them, but like maybe the vampires are too smart though, you know, like if you can't sneak up on them, you might as well overwhelm them.
Right, but maybe that's where the garlic comes in. You know what I
maybe.
mean? So, Jared, what say ye? Anyway, so
you could always. Oh yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just letting people know I've taken this and I've blown this silhouette up bigger, but I've also copied it. I'm going to go ahead and turn these copies off because what's going to happen now is now that we have the pose that we like, we're going to add the accessories. Okay, so let's come back in here. But go ahead, Ray. Continue that thought.
I just really like world building. I like thinking about it a lot. So I was like, you could wrap the bell in like cloth to keep it quiet and use it as a last resort. I'm not sure if maybe he's the only hunter, but maybe other hunters could use. I don't know. I just like thinking about world building a lot. It makes me happy. But
too.
seeing as how Mecha Jared is like the writer here, I'm sure he's got a lot of stuff planned that either he doesn't want to mention right now or is like spoilers. Or Mecha Jared did say he could use his cross as a weapon. It can be used as a stabbing implement.
Ah.
How big is the cross? Because it might be interesting, because at least the way that I see it, right? Cross, holy water,
Yes.
they're very much cliches and tropes, which work for a reason, right? They're very good for a reason. There's history, there's stuff like that, but it's always fun when you take a new spin on it. Kind of like how you guys have done with some of the stuff you've told us behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So what if instead of like a handheld cross, it was more like a big sort of weapon cross?
Like a mace?
Maybe.
Like,
yeah, almost.
Or a hammer,
Or yeah, like length of a sword, but you can't have it be a sword. Have it be something more obviously a cross.
Well, and he could use it to hammer in the stakes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
True.
This is looking a little wonky.
It is looking a little wonky, but I like the energy. I feel like maybe the hat is what's making the balance off. Maybe like tilt the hat or have it flying off his head, since you're implying motion.
I wanted it to almost look like a cowboy hat, and instead
It looks like a traffic cone, Chad.
I know, it totally did. That's so funny. So funny.
Mechajer said he has crosses of various sizes, and Chili Chapter says, what if the cross was big enough to sort of lug over your shoulder and use two-handed? I feel like with that last suggestion, one thing that you might be at a disadvantage for would be speed. Because usually, if you're gonna fight and you go with a two-handed weapon, you have to be able to take several hits because you're not gonna outspeed your opponent. And I feel like in this particular world setting, if you get hit by vampires
so
you might
stronger.
Yeah. So you might
faster.
want to have something that lets you move a little quicker than like a giant two-handed cross.
Yeah, basically, humans that are really, really bad disadvantage.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they got to have some tricks up their sleeve. Now, it's interesting, though, one of the only ways these movies got made, especially, I think, and Jared, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the first one came out in 1958, the first Hammer horror film. Gosh, I'm not liking that at all. So let me just do a few things here. I'm gonna lower this, and then I'm gonna bring the hat down. I think that's one of the major. It's looking
there you
a
go.
little too tall on his head.
A little bit, but at least with the brim, you've got more motion in there now.
There we go. Yeah.
Let's see. Mecha Jared says he wants to be quick, so fast weapons work better.
Yeah.
And then Chili says humans are squishy, which is true.
Humans are very squishy. Okay. So now one of the things I want to talk about, the stereotypical boot.
Boot.
The boot. Are we just doing the whole piping boot? Are we gonna have boots that are a little bit more form fitting? What say ye? I say, they definitely have to be thick.
I think with the cuff boots you've got there, it kind of matches his hat. If he doesn't have some kind of bigger boot on his feet, I think he would look a little unbalanced, maybe.
So you like that? You like the?
I liked the cuffed boot. Yeah. Mecha Jared just says do the boots.
Do the boots. Okay. So there's one. We'll keep that. And then let's come in and let's bring in another one. Make sure that we work on the same layer. No. Oh, son of a... Okay. So now the challenge is to get sort of a different, just sort of a different look with the same pose, same anatomy. So with this one, we could have the boots different. We could have the coat coming in differently, and like instead of coming out over the hip, underneath, bunching up. It worked that time, daggone it. I don't know why sometimes these things do the things they do. That's sort of fun.
Oh, having like a split tailcoat?
Yeah. Well, the coat is split in the back. They almost need
Right.
Yeah. A little bit more form fitting. Now, what if we made the hat just a little bit less tall?
You could make it a little less tall.
What if we made it a little bit more cowboy, a little more Indiana Jones? What just happened there? I have no idea. What do we think? No cuffs? No big cuffs? A little bit more form fitting? I think that's a valid option. Let's give him some knee protection. Let's bulk up his knees just a little bit. Maybe a little bit of armor.
There'd probably be some kind of like neck armor, especially, right?
What if we give him long hair?
Mecha Jared says he likes the shorter hat and maybe a whip in hand.
A whip. Now we're gonna get sued by Castlevania. But you know what? I mean, it sort of plays to the whole cowboy Indiana Jones feel.
Yeah.
Right? Almost the same archetype, right? So, and I sort of like that. I dig it.
I kind of like it too. Like, even though it's 1860s, like, it has a very unique vibe to it.
Yeah.
A little less priesty and more this dude is gonna adventure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. See, and this is why you don't just sort of do a one and done. Okay. Everyone's like, well, hey, good enough. Like we could have stopped here, right? We could have. And just gone with it. But the whole idea is just sort of push it. See see what ideas pop into your head. See what happens as you're doing these things. So don't ever just sort of settle with one. Keep going. Now, for the purposes of presentation, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flip this, and let's bring it back up in here. We'll just do it a little bit smaller, but let's see if we can come up with one final unique look, and then we'll call it good, and we'll start adding the details. Okay, let's turn the opacity down like on the other ones. Let me, real quick, what was our opacity here? 43. I'm just going to do the same. It doesn't matter. I should turn all these back up to the same, just for consistency's sake. Okay. Probably also doesn't help the fact that when I talk, I'm not talking loud into the microphone, that I have my hand over my face. So, you guys, I'll get Perry and Ray will hook up electrodes to my ears, and every time I do that, they'll shock me. So I'm not mumbling through. Let's see. What does Chili Chapter say? I still dig the first one a lot. Okay. Hey, that's and this is the hard thing. This is the hard thing about art. It's subjective. People are going to have favorites. They're going to have favorites. And so it's one of these things where you're just sort of trying to please the largest audience you can. So let's go on a different tack with this one. What if we bulk him up and put him in more of like a knight in shining armor? So I'm going to do
we could try that.
I'm going to do like a really heavy, sort of like bulky armor up here. And then maybe some shoulder pads.
Johnny Monstar asks if this is the book you're going forward with, or is Temerity still running?
So right now, we're putting Temerity on a little bit of a hiatus until we can get things figured out. I can't, basically, I can only be doing pencils for one book at a time. And so, what we're doing right now with Temerity is we're looking for the right artist to come step in, because I need to be doing at least, I'm doing a book for Jimmy Palmiotti. Can't really talk about that. So right now I have 3 books I'm basically supposed to be doing. This one, Jimmy's, and Temerity. And so, with all that responsibility, we're basically looking for an artist to come in and fill in for me on Temerity. And until we can find that artist, right now Temerity's sort of on hold. But we hope to be coming back with more Temerity. But it probably won't be me on the book unless I have a lot of free time that just sort of magically sprouts up, and we all know that really never happens with me, right? So
true.
Yeah.
That doesn't really happen with most artists.
Yeah, exactly. We're overwhelmed and have a hard time saying no. So I'm gonna bulk up the boots. And then what if we give him almost like a glaive? Okay, let's bring the coat back in. This really changes the feel of the character.
It really does.
Yeah. I don't think it's bad, but I don't know if it's the direction we want to go.
He feels a lot more bulky.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like the kind of guy that would be a tank and not like a speed fighter.
Right. Yeah, and it almost feels like this would weigh him down. Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from it, too.
Well, maybe let's play with the different types of hats, though. What if we... This one was really sort of tall. This one was sort of short. What if we do... Something a little bit more in the medium. And what if we give it a wider brim? Not really digging that. What if we give it a brim, but it's sort of pointed down? And maybe he has like a... You know, hold on. What if he has like a... I mean, since we're doing armored, what if this is almost like a steampunk version? And we give him one of those plague masks.
Mecha Jared is suggesting maybe the more stripped down look, but with the armor on the inside of his coat.
Yeah.
So like a breastplate sort of thing.
Breastplate. And I think that's what I indicated. But we could also do... What if we give him the whole... Let's play with like the whole holy hammer. Crucifix. We'll make this really big. Almost like he's... Okay. Really not digging this.
No.
I'm not. So, but do we leave it in? Maybe. Maybe. I'm going to go back. What if we try a sword? Try just the crucifix sword. Not as bad. I'm not digging the plague mask though.
I mean, that could almost be a completely different character.
You know, what if I give him like tubes and wires and whatnot? Almost like a steampunk. Alright. I think that just makes an interesting design. So I'm just gonna leave it there. But I think, should we vote on, well, let's number them. We got,
right.
Let's come in here and let's turn this down. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay. So we got number 1, number 2, number 3. In Japan, Mega Man is known as Rockman. In Jamaica, he's Megamon. Is that for real? Is that for real? I don't know if that's real. Anyway, all right. So let's vote. I don't know. Is design a democracy? What do you guys think?
No, design's
It's
not a democracy,
It's not a democracy.
but sometimes it's nice to see input.
Yeah. You know,
Mecha Jared says...
after I added sort of the tubes and stuff, I don't mind this as much. I think 3 has become a viable option once I put the... I don't know why.
I still don't like it. Mecha Jared says that he likes 1 and 2, although 3 may be good for an alternate costume.
Yeah. Like, maybe at times he needs to bulk up, right? We never know. Because, remember, he's not just fighting vampires, he's fighting the supernatural.
That's true.
Maybe there's a time where we need to bulk him up and he almost needs like an Iron Man suit. And we can bring that in. So, all right. So once we have the silhouettes, now we can keep going with silhouettes. We need silhouettes for, like I said, Count Darius. Did I say that right, Jared? I like the brooding, solemn nature of the first one. Okay. All right. So we have votes for 1 and 2.
Keta says 5.
Wait, what?
She's just being snarky.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so
Keta says she can't read. There's only 3.
Do we want to keep going with silhouettes, or do we want to start filling in details? What do you think?
What do you think, Perry?
Yeah, we haven't heard from Perry. Perry's
working
on homework.
I'm working on staying awake. I'm really tired.
Me too. So let's have another another visit from our sponsors, our unofficial sponsors.
Okay, so we only have 15 minutes left until 4:30.
Oh my heck! Wow. So
Yeah.
let's fill in some design then. Let's fill in some detail. Okay. Let's see. Want to try an up close shot? No, not yet. That's a whole other thing. That's a whole other demonstration, Jared. We're working on the overall look. So we're gonna get a little bit more caffeine in us. Oh my heck! I can't believe we're this far in. I think we had a little too much fun with this one.
I think so.
I mean, hopefully that just means it'll be a really good design.
Right. So I'm going to do an executive override. Let's go ahead and start with 2.
Okay.
I like 2.
I like 2 the most personally.
And then, so what? The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take all these. I'm going to pump up their opacity all the way to 100%. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and erase the numbering system, the number convention. Well, actually, I'm going to do this. Now that they're all 100%, boom. Let's conserve layers. When you start getting into, working for a company, you always want to do something that's called non-destructive editing. And, but you also want to keep in mind, file sizes. That's how you guys, that's my, I messed up sound. That's my, that's
a couple of those.
Yeah, I know. So, but the idea though is, we're conserving layers, so our file's not cluttered. And then if we need any of these shapes, all we got to do is take the shapes, select them, and bring them into their own layer. But what I'm going to do is, since we basically are going with this design, I'm going to take these other designs and I'm just going to size them down. And just sort of shove them in a corner a little bit. Bring them up here. Okay, because you always want to document your work. And then I'm going to take this silhouette and I'm gonna just blow it up a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to take this silhouette and I'm going to size it down. Just going to bring it down. Ah! So it's not as heavy of a weight. And then I think I'm going to take this. I'm just thinking about composition. And you guys you might be watching this and you might be like, why in the world is Chad doing this? Once again, I'm not doing it necessarily because we need it for Artist Elite. I'm doing this because if I have students that are going to watch this video, I want them to always be thinking about presentation, about the aesthetics of their project, because people are going to want to see the more you're showing your process, the more connected your client's going to feel to the decision making, and it's the more at ease it's going to put them. So if you can basically walk them through what you're doing in your thought process, then they might get as excited about an idea as you get, and then that synergy just sort of builds. I hate using marketing words like synergy, but it's a real thing. Okay, so just sort of shove those silhouettes that aren't going to a more finished state, shoving those out of the way. I'm gonna make this one just a little bit bigger, bring it down just a little bit more. Okay, and there we go. I'm gonna turn the opacity on this back down, and then I'm going to create a new layer and we can start adding some of the details. Okay. And then we want to definitely get another pencil, not use the same one. Come on. I'm going to use the Chad's holding lines. Now, I always sort of figured that he would have like a buckle right here. Now, here's the other thing. With comics, you do not want to overcomplicate your design. You got to remember that you're drawing this every panel. Like I see this happen, and I did this with Temerity. Okay, guilty, 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 guilty. Do as I say, not as I do. I almost picture this breastplate coming up. Beard or no beard?
What about like a goatee?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Maybe I'm just channeling my inner Keanu Reeves.
Oh my gosh.
Very space.
Jared said mutton chops.
Mutton chops.
No, not mutton chops.
I don't know. I'm thinking short hair, clean shaven.
Yeah, that could be good.
It's also gonna. You know what though? We could also just sort of keep everything a little hidden too.
COVID safe. It's always masked up.
Right, yeah. Okay, so I'm just thinking about the coat.
Keta says he needs a cool scar, and I'm inclined to agree.
Oh, a vampire scar. He just got raked, like right across the face there.
Yes.
Okay. He's definitely got to wear a crucifix as part of his jewelry. Probably the more ornate, the better. Breastplate. And this is at this point, I'm just sort of shoving ideas in here. I will definitely go get some reference. I envision a bandolier with wooden spikes.
Yeah.
It's got to have a bandolier with wooden spikes.
Gotta. It's
Oh,
required.
for sure. Dude.
Now, I also figure this jacket is sort of going to go out and not be tucked in. So it's going to fold over here and go behind. And we're going to have just a little bit. I'm just drawing in the pinches and the folds. A little bit there. Gloves or not, I'm not sure. I would almost imagine that he would need gloves. He's handling unholy objects. He's got to have some hand protection.
Yeah. Assuming the holy objects work, which they definitely have to, he would need some kind of hand protection for sure.
Okay, definitely love the whip.
The whip is great. I forget, does silver work against vampires, or is that just werewolves?
Okay.
Or is it undead in general?
I think silver does.
It has to be blessed silver. Blessed silver is the thing. So even with werewolves, it's not the silver. It's the okay.
It's the blessing on the silver.
And this is really interesting. Like the only reason why a lot of these films got made back in the day is because they had to promote Christianity. They had to.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
So the reason, like they were basically, propaganda for, Christian values. It didn't matter how powerful, how evil, how smart Dracula was. The power of the crucifix, the power, overcame. We're living in different times, so a lot of these things, they just might be placebo. Right, we don't. Our vampires might not apply to the same set of rules. Things might work, but they might work for different reasons. Do you guys know who? Oh gosh, I'm going to mispronounce the name. The director of. I definitely don't want to do Blue Jeans. I gotta get a better design than Blue Jeans. I'll have to look at some pantaloon styles.
I mean, yeah, you could always just go with, like, leather pants of some sort.
Leather pants.
No silver for ours? Alrighty, Jared.
Now imagining, like, a vampire hunter that like they have all these beliefs of like, oh yeah, these things should work, and then it shows up and they're actually like facing a vampire and like none of it works, and it's like, you mean to tell me my whole life I have been lied to?
Yeah.
I feel like that happens with a lot of like newbie vampire hunters sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Well, there was gosh, what okay, so like in Fright Night, it only worked if you actually believed. Like you're almost like it was like a psychic battle between you and the vampire.
Interesting.
So, like, if you believed in it. So in Fright Night, that's what was part of the canon. In the Hammer horror films, the objects themselves, the holy water, the crucifixes, all of these things basically, you know, it played to the whole, like I said, it played to the whole, you know, how are we going to let these demonic films be made? Well, you know, these holy relics have to be able to overcome. Good has to be able to overcome evil.
Right.
Okay.
In The Conjuring.
So, but we don't know if the same things are going to work in our universe yet. We're not going to release those spoilers. But Neil, I want to say Neil Bloomkamp, the director of District 9, the director of Chappie, Elysium. He is directing a movie where vampires right angles. Like there's something in their brain that when they see a right angle, it causes them to have an epileptic seizure.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now that is interesting.
Right. So and the crucifix has 4 right angles. So
true.
Yeah. So like so there's interesting things like that. I don't know if Jared and I are going to go down that road. You know, I don't know. We'll
have to talk about it, work it out.
Yeah. You know, but he's, you know, if it's going to work against a vampire, he's going to know about it. If it's not going to work, he's also going to know about it. But he's also discovering why things work too. So, all right. So I think that's about as far as we're going to get today. It's 4:29. That's just one option. He's feeling a little Ichabod Crane-ish for my blood. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna duplicate this.
Your blood, vampire.
I know. Come back in. I'm gonna fill in a little bit of these gaps just for presentation. Why is that doing that? Let's pump that up. No, that's size. Pump up the opacity. There we go. So I might explore, like, I might come back and explore that bulky option. Because he's looking really, really, really thin. He needs to.
He's live.
You know what?
He's fast.
I think in this time period, I think everybody was starving to death. So you know.
They were pretty emaciated.
Yeah. They were not. There were no Burger Kings on the corner. There were people being overweight was almost not a thing at all. But that
it was a sign that you were rich.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's the only people that can afford. I'm just going to come in and do just a few more tricks before we end the podcast.
King was the Burger King.
Okay, so anyway, silhouettes. I think maybe I also might come in and do a version of this where I just get a little bit more correct anatomy. It looked cool as a silhouette, but I think one of the things that might be bugging me, and we can always try this. Yeah, I think it's more of an anatomy thing with this leg. But anyway, and if I covered that leg up, I think I'm liking just about everything else. Torso's also a little bit long. So maybe I like the design and maybe I just don't like my anatomy. These are all things that you have to think about, while you're designing. So anyway, it'll warrant a little bit more explanation. But that's as far as we got today. If you are designing characters, go ahead and give the silhouette process a try. If you're doing concepts for your books, your layouts, whatnot, I recommend when you're plotting your layouts, definitely be thinking about your shapes in the forms of silhouettes. It will help it read. It will help your panels and your comics read. Okay, if you can tell what's happening just by the shape, that's a really big advantage. Okay, if you choose a shape where you can't really tell what's going on, it's bad composition, it's bad design. it's going to be boring to the reader. So it's really important that you sort of master these shapes and learn these things. It's one of the things you guys have had classes with. You guys have had classes with Guy Francis, right, for children's book illustration?
I haven't, no.
He is huge on this, and he has an excellent lecture when he teaches this to his class. Maybe we'll bring him in one of these times, and we'll record him doing his version of it. But you definitely, this is a process that every artist needs to be incorporating when it comes into design. And it's something that's not really taught. It's taught in a few places here and there. It was taught a lot more back in the 50s. It's sort of getting lost. We need to bring that back. So anyway, all right. That's all we have time for today. So when we come back, hopefully we'll have more of these character comps done, more silhouettes done, and we'll have. We also got to be working on page 1. We also, just so everyone knows. Oh, it says animated emotes can be disabled in settings. Is that? I don't know what that means.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Don't worry about that.
Anyway, dang it. I read the chat and it broke my train of thought. We also got to I also got to finish commissions. So one of the disadvantages to picking up the Artist Elite book and the deadlines for the Artist Elite is I'm really, really behind on commissions. So we might need to do one where we're doing commissions as well. So
that'd be great.
Yeah. So who knows what's next? Maybe more concept art, maybe more pages, maybe more commissions. You'll find out a week from today. So come back and join us then. Until then, follow us. You guys want to plug your socials? Ray, Perry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might actually go live here pretty soon. You can find my Twitch at twitch.tv/SetiKitNaga. Right now I'm just working on some of my comic pages since apparently they are due tomorrow when I thought I had another week. So I'll be working on coloring.
You want to type your name in the chat?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, so people know how to spell it.
All right, Perry, you want to do the same thing?
Yeah, I'm mostly on Instagram. So I'll go ahead and type my username in the chat. Just follow me at Parasite.
Okay. Mecha Jared, why don't you go ahead, plug in your podcast, your socials?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So people can start following you. Bernard, do the same. Add your Twitch channel, Bernard. Everyone needs to be watching a real artist. I'm a faker.
You're not. Stop. You are good.
Self-deprecating humor was acceptable.
Spray you with a spray bottle.
Listen, it's still acceptable. I personally just don't like it because it helps your self-esteem if you don't make those kind of jokes.
That's right. We got to think positive, right? I'm the best. And Bernard taught me everything I know. Anyway, make sure you follow Bernard on his Twitch channel as well as his social medias. And follow everyone at Artist Elite. So you can see what Ali Garza, Tyler Kirkham, Ryan Kincaid, Sora Sung.
Is there like a webpage where we can see everyone that's part of Artist Elite?
I need to grab that and we need to drop it in. But I will talk
we'll
with
do that
Tim.
next week.
Yeah. Like I said, one day this is gonna be a smooth rolling stone. Right now it's a little clunky, but we're working on it. Okay. Until next time, everyone be good, be safe, enjoy the holiday season. Avoid those crazy shoppers.
All them Karens.
Yeah. And we'll see you a week from today, everybody. Be good.
See you guys.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.